Good morning. Happy Sunday. We're going to talk about crab today. We have a great question about crab. I'm excited to chat with you about it. But first, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thanks for watching our videos. Every day I get a DM or a comment here on YouTube about how helpful these are. And you must know that words of affirmation are a love language of mine, and they mean the world to me because that's what this channel is for. It's to demystify a lot of the stuff about Pilates that it can be complicated, or some people are gatekeepy about it, and to just answer your questions. Just a reminder, we do this every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to talk about crab today because that's a question we have in the comments. I do look at your form. If you're an OPC member, you could submit yourself doing the crab or any exercise you're struggling with and get personalized feedback from me. So that's for OPC members only. There's information on how to do that in our OPC community. So if you go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube, you can try OPC out. You can come to our next live class. I think we're doing that this week. And I will look at it there, or you can submit a video of it, which is really, really great, because then you might hear like, oh, you're crossing your legs the wrong way, or you're putting your head in the wrong spot, like information that means you're not practicing a bad habit, right? So the question about crab was like, hey, can I get a breakdown? Which we do have a tutorial on that's a little quicker. So if you're looking for just a quick snapshot of crab, you can see our latest video on that. It also is connected to our flashcards. I'm looking up here. I don't know if they're in there, but I have flashcards for the mat that really does break it down with substitutions on what to do if the crab is not right for you. So the question was a breakdown, and then also how do you land on your head without running out of mat, right? Without running out of mat space. So I'll show you a couple things. And then also I think what's not mentioned in that question is like, how do you hi honey, how do you land on your head? By the way, this is Bayonne. He is 10 and does not care about my lives anymore. That's what happens when you're older. You're like, I'm old. This is me. So I will share a couple of things. First thing I want to say is Pilates exercises should hurt you never. Like there's nothing, every single Pilates exercise is not going to hurt anybody that is ready to do the exercise. And where I think a lot of people make some mistakes, hi sweetheart, is that they're doing exercises before they're ready, right? They're just doing it before they're ready. They're not warmed up, or they're not progressed correctly. They haven't been doing it right. So crab inherently is a rolling exercise, but it's even bigger than a rolling exercise because it's also a exercise where you flip onto your head. So you're, yeah, Shills, hi babe. She says she omits head part. That is an option for everybody. One of the people in my mentorship program, Elevate, if you are a comprehensively trained teacher and you do want to nerd out with me, you can learn more about Elevate at lesleylogan.co/elevate. She calls it doing a baby swan shield. So she's like, I'm just doing the baby swan, the baby crab, right? Which is just like basically half a crab. All right. So I'm going to show all of that, but I just want to reiterate one more time. If you are ready to do crab, it should never hurt you. You should never hurt your neck in crab. Even if you're doing the headstand part of crab, which comes at the end, you should never be hurting yourself because you've been readying your body. Crab comes at the end of the mat order from Joe Pilates because there's so many things you have to have ready in your body to do it. But also, if you read Joe's book, Return to Life, he says, do not move past the 100 till you can do the 100 really, really well. Crab is the third to the last exercise. So you should not be getting there until you've done the 100 really, really well, the roll up really, really well, roll over, roll. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to talk about if rolling like a ball is a struggle for you, you hate it, you can't balance on your shoulders, you are not ready for crab. So what I mean by that is when I look at people doing rolling like a ball, if I see their head go back or their feet go away from their body, we're not ready for crab, right? You should be able to keep the space between your heels and your seat here, even when you're on your shoulders. And then rolling like a ball does not have a pause at the top on the shoulders, but I will see if people can pause at the top before I'm going to give them a more complicated overhead exercise. What I mean by that is, can they roll back here and go 1,002, right? So yes, my head touches the mat, but my back of my neck had space, air. So the neck curvature is fine, safe. There's no pressure on the neck. There's weight on the big bony bump here on the back of the head and the shoulders. But because my feet are staying close to my seat, these muscles right here are on to keep the second half of my body, the lower half of my body, reaching up to the sky. So there's not all of my weight on my shoulders. There's a two-way stretch, right? There's opposition. And that's where I think a lot of people they're skipping too quickly to get to the other stuff. And I want to give you confidence. At OPC, we say it is brave and courageous to replace what you can't do yet with something you can. So if crab is in a class and you're not able to balance on your shoulders in rolling like a ball, you can replace crab with more rolling like a ball, right? Because I want you to be able to get back here and keep that space the same. So until I see that, we're not ready for crab. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at when it gets to readying for crab, open leg rocker. I know the legs are straight in open leg rocker, but there's a point in open leg rocker where you balance and you open and close your legs. Okay. So that's outer thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh, inner thigh, right? Can you do that? So if you can't, if you've got a wobbly pelvis, when you're balancing on it, what do you think is going to happen when you're upside down and the crab legs are doing outer thigh, inner thigh, right? So we have to make sure that we're being honest with ourselves about some foundational movements. And again, replacing what we can't do yet with something we can. Side leg kicks, excellent series that I think a lot of people, because they feel a burn in their outer hip, are missing out on some of the isolations that they need. So the up down of the side leg kicks, your hips should not hike into your rib cage. The front back, your chest should not be going forward and back. If those things are happening, before we do crab, we got to get control of our center, because this move is quite complicated. And so when balanced on an elbow and a shoulder and a hip, you can't keep it still. When we're upside down, there's not a lot of hope. There's not a lot of hope. And so I really want you to be like going, if I've called out any of these exercises, you're like, oh, I do that. I want you to replace crab with one of those until you get your control over it, right? I want that compounding effort to happen for you. Okay. So I could go even deeper. There's so many things I can say, but one more thing before we break down crab. After extension exercises, Joe gave us a stretch. Now, a lot of people call it a child's pose. That's not what Joe did. So after a swan or a single leg kick, you would sit back and put the top of your head towards your knees and grab your feet. Okay, so I am on my head here. There is not any, this is working a little bit, but not a lot, because my feet are pushing down, my outer hips are on, and my stomach is pulling up. It's pulling up so much, I could roll up, right? Like it's pulling up that much. Why did he do that? Well, if you look at the mat order, if you look at the first third of the exercises, it is designed to strengthen your core. All of them. It's a ton of flexion. If you look at how most programs teach a beginner mat, it is mostly flexion, because we need to have control over this before we face gravity. But after you face gravity, Joe is like, okay, we got to counter stretch that, because otherwise, if you did too much with your lower back, we've got to open that back up. So when you're in this position, I'm an upside down roll like a ball. I'm in a pre-crab and I'm lifting my stomach up. So I'm in an active stretch versus this position where I'm letting gravity take over. Yes, that is a valid counter stretch. I want to take that away from you, especially if you need it. However, why did we do 1/3 getting our core all activated to do one exercise against it and go, let's let it go, right? Like there's a method to the madness, right? So if you can do it, you should. So if you are practicing that counter stretch, you are getting yourself ready for crab. You are. So the breakdown of crab. In an ideal world, you will be in the middle of your mat with your hips, because you'll have just done side bend, boomerang, right? So then you'll do seal, okay? And then it's crab. Now, it's not my favorite way to show you, but I'm gonna do it because I love you guys so much. But I typically do everything from the side on purpose. And that's just because Pilates has a lot of crotch shots if you face a different way. But here we go, so you can see it in a way that might help your brain. So do you see how my legs are crossed? Yeah. And I've got my hands on my feet here. So I'm in the rolling like a ball arms, or if you do reformer, I'm in hug with my arms. Okay. All right. So the next thing is when I am upside down, on my shoulders, right? And the back of my head. Then I'm going to open my legs. It is not a rocket move. Okay. To my friends who are Rockettes, I know that's not what you do. I know it's not what you do, but it's not that. Okay. It is outer thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh, inner thigh. So my knees are going to the side. Look at the angle at my knee. At no point do my feet get away from my seat. What did we talk about in rolling like a ball? The feet don't get away from the seat. So when you're upside down, you have to have enough external rotation and strength of the hip to move the legs apart, and then enough external rotation strength, but inner thigh strength to bring the legs back together. People want to see it from behind. Oh, okay. That's straight. Okay. Great. So I'm going to go open, close. Open, close. Open, close. Okay. You should feel these muscles. If you have a hard time sitting crisscross applesauce because like it's just like a lot here, we have to work on that before we do crab. Crab's not all of a sudden be an option for you. So going back to my first statement from the beginning, if you are ready for a Pilates exercise, you should not hurt yourself. If you're not ready for Pilates exercise, we have to ready you. Pilates does meet you where you are. Okay. So now that you understand what the legs are doing, what the arms are doing hug. I'm opening up and I'm closing. I'm opening up, I'm closing. Okay. And that's why we don't do a retraction where I'm trying to squeeze my elbows together. My shoulder blades together when we're doing hug on the reformer, because I have to stand on those shoulders. So the shoulders have to stay wide when I open the arms. Do you see Pilates is one exercise you do 500 ways? All right. So here it is. You're here. You can round. So you did seal. Boop. Crab. Okay. Then I can round forward. I'm going to get to that question about running on a mat. I'm here on the top of my head. I'm in that rest position that we talked about earlier, rest in air quotes, and I'm lifting my center up. The feet can come to your seat if you want. I like to push them down because it helps me get this to be on. Then, like I showed you, I'm going to come up by lifting my stomach, and then I stay in that shape. Then I'm here. My legs open to the side, my arms open for the hug. The space between here and here stayed the same, and here stayed the same. Then I'm going to round forward. Now this is where you guys are running on a mat. You're doing this. Okay? I'm being dramatic, but you are rising up and like, let me see beyond the cliff versus what if I had to land here? So I keep the shape. I actually am trying to curl into myself versus away from myself. Now, there are people, like there was a time in my Pilates practice where my ball was not this small, right? Like my rolling a ball was a little wider for me to stay connected. Some people's rolling like a balls are out here, right? So I moved my moon boxes forward so that I could, because I needed to kind of land here, right? The goal is that you can keep your ball the same shape. So you should be landing within the mat. But again, based on height, if you're taller than me, you might always need that. But you have to ask yourself, am I opening up my ball to land, or am I keeping the ball shape all the way through? Remember what came before this was boomerang. I did a breakdown on boomerang a couple weeks ago. The space is the same here, there, and on the way. Yeah. So it's the same with your crab. So you want to keep the shape, work those outer hips, and then round and lift your center so that you are I'm just rolling here. In fact, so many people stop the rolling series to get slow and perfect, but it's just, I'm rolling and I'm reaching, and then you go, watch out, look at me. And you take your crab into a headstand. And then you find your crab and you pull it back in. Now, for the record, there is a very big difference between the amount of weight in my head in crab versus the amount of weight in my head in headstand. So You don't ever have to do headstand ever. That is a fun challenge. Like, can I roll and then stop it? That's a fun challenge. Okay. It's like jackknife. It's like overhead on the reformer. But I want to be clear that when I am in crab, I don't feel all of the weight in my head. I feel barely 50% of it because my knees and my hips are taking a bunch, my center's taking a bunch, and then my head has what's left. So for those of you who have a little bit of fear around the neck, if you do not have a neck or shoulder injury, I want you to try with the rest position first. I want you to get used to being on your head. I want you to feel like, oh, that feels like it's too much. Okay, so where in your body are you not activating, where you're not having opposition? Okay. When you can get more comfortable with the rest position, with Joe's rest position, then you can play with the crab. Some people will never roll on their head because neck, shoulder issues, knee issues. Some people literally can't roll like over to their knees in this position. Some people have ankle issues, right? Some people don't like the feeling of these two bones touching each other. I get that. You can still be a Pilates person and not do that part. But to take it away from people who can do that part would be wrong too, right? So own the crab you have. Remind yourself that you are crabbing sooner than you think. Rolling like a ball is taking you there. Open like rocker is taking you there. Boomer, everything, side kicks are taking you there. And then notice, oh, I am losing that. Film yourself. I promise you, you are opening up the shape. That's what's happening. Yeah, I think I answered the question. Do you feel good about it, Brad? Great. Great. Okay, love. So here's the deal. Crab is kind of one of those upside down exercises. And we are spending a week as an OPC team in spring training talking about getting upside down. You never have to get upside down. So if you're like, I'll never be able to, spring training is still for you. If you're brand new, spring training is still for you because OPC has a great team of teachers who are real people. So we have larger body teachers, super tall teachers, teachers who are 58 years old and not doing overhead exercises because it actually does not feel right in their body anymore. People with teachers with lower back stuff they have to be mindful of, make sure they're warmed up. Runners, right? We hypermobile people. So no matter your body, we have a Pilates class for you that is going to talk about overhead, and every single person is going to learn foundations, replacement exercises, and then if you're ready, you'll have the opportunity to try it out. We'll have mat classes, reformer classes, a tower, a chair, 30 minutes, 45-minute classes, all there. If you're an OPC member, it's going to be free for you. If you're not an OPC member, you want to go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube to become an OPC member if you know you're going to want this week for free. Or there will be an opportunity for you to pay for this week and see if you like us. You'll want to go to opc.me/events. opc.me/events means you're going to get emails letting you know early bird is on. Here are the dates. Here's what's going on. And that is for spring training, which will be May 12th through the 17th. Believe it or not, that's still considered spring. That's spring training. I think we have like 9 or 10 classes. I'll teach a bunch of them. And then all of our OPC teachers are teaching as well. So there's a chair class. So there's all these different helpful classes, and there'll be question and answer time afterwards. So you can ask questions based on that class or based on the exercises you're struggling with. Also, there'll be, there's one more thing I want to tell you about that spring training. Well, at any rate, I'll be at all the classes. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, there's 30-minute classes, or there'll be some 45-minute classes. And what I was going to say is there will be replay access for a limited time. And the reason is at OPC, we pride ourselves in a few things: consistency, community, and accountability. Okay. So accountability means we put a limited replay on there so you don't just keep signing up for things and never take them and feel bad. Because I just had a friend here who's just like, sign up for all these things and I don't use it and I just feel bad about myself, so I don't do anything. We don't want to be a thing that you feel bad about. We actually want to be on your side, helping you do the Pilates practice that's right for you, period. So we actually believe finishing is optional. We believe it's brave and courageous to replace what you can't do yet with something you can. And we want you to be at this spring training. Teachers, clients, Pilates lovers of all levels, it's for you. So if you're not an OPC member, go to opc.me/events to hear about the early bird access. If you want to get it for free, you want to go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube. All right. Happy Sunday. You're amazing. Anything else, babe? Cool. All right. Well, have fun crabbing. Let me know how it goes. Bye.